Right. Hello all. Now we'll discuss the advisory jurisdiction. In the previous class, we have discussed the appellate jurisdiction, writ jurisdiction, and exclusive original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. Now we'll discuss the advisory jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. Right. So Article 143 authorizes the President to seek the opinion of the Supreme Court in two categories of matters. So this is called advisory jurisdiction. Okay, that means the President of India is empowered to seek advice from the Supreme Court in certain matters. They are classified into two categories. First category is on any question of law or fact of public importance which has arisen or which is likely to arise. So it is the discretion of the President to seek the advice from the Supreme Court in these matters. What are they? Question of law or fact which has public importance, okay, which may has arisen or which is likely to arise. If the President feels in this way, he can seek advice in this matter. However, the Supreme Court may tender or may refuse to tender its opinion to the President. So it is the discretion of the Supreme Court whether to tender the opinion to the President or not under this matter. Okay. And the second category is on any dispute arising out of any pre-constitutional treaty or agreement or covenant or engagement or other similar instruments, the Supreme Court must tender its opinion to the President. Okay. It cannot do like in the first case. It has to provide advice. It is an obligatory. Okay, right. However, in the both cases, the opinion expressed by the Supreme Court is only advisory and not a judicial pronouncement. Hence, it is not binding on the President. That means whatever the advice that is being given by the Supreme Court under these two cases will not be considered as a judgments. They are just advices. And of course, President is not obliged or bound by these advices, right? Next one is a court of record. What is the meaning of a court of record? Okay. See, the judgments, proceedings, and acts of the Supreme Court are recorded. Okay? Are recorded. And these have some evidentiary value. And these are used as a testimonies for the future cases. These are also used as a precedents, okay, conventions, etc. Therefore, these are called as court of record. That means under court of record, Supreme Court has two powers. What are those powers? The judgments or the proceedings of the Supreme Court are treated as a testimonies. I think you got the point. Are treated as a testimonies and evidences by the other courts, high courts or lower courts, to deliver the judgments. That's why it is called as one of the two powers of the Supreme Court. Okay, that is court of record. And the second power is it has the power to punish for contempt of court. In 1991, the Supreme Court has ruled that it has power to punish for contempt not only of itself but also of high courts, subordinate courts, and tribunals functioning in the entire country. That means power to punish for contempt is not an exclusive power of the Supreme Court anymore. In 1991, Supreme Court said that the power to punish for contempt of court can be exercised by the high courts and the lower courts and tribunals as well. Okay. So that means the contempt of court, the power to punish for contempt of court will ensure the confidence and obedience and respect towards the judiciary. Okay, that's why the courts are empowered to punish the citizens who are not willing to abide the judgments of the judiciary. Okay, that's why these two are called as powers of the Supreme Court. And contempt of court may be civil or criminal. So what is the meaning of civil contempt and what is called as criminal contempt, or which contempt is taken as a civil and which contempt is taken as criminal? Okay, so willful disobedience to any judgment, order, writ or other processes of a court is considered as a civil contempt. Okay, criminal contempt means publication of any matter or doing an act which scandalizes or lowers the authority of the court. What is the meaning of scandalize? Scandalize means spreading the negative information in the public domain against the judgments of the Supreme Court through various channels or various medium is called as scandalization, right? And prejudices or interferences with the due course of judicial proceedings. That means if an individual is obstructing the proceedings of the court or obstructing the implementation of the judgment of the court is considered as a criminal contempt. Okay, and interferes or obstructs the administration of the justice in any other manner. So all these three are considered as a criminal contempt of court. Okay, willful disobedience to any judgment is considered as a civil contempt. Okay, right. However, innocent publications and a distribution of some matter, fair and accurate report of judicial proceedings do not amount to contempt of court. That means we can criticize the judgments of the court, but such criticism should not demean the value of the Supreme Court. Such criticism should not reduce the value or dignity or authority of the judiciary. That means the criticism should be fair, the criticism should be based on facts, and the criticism should be in a constructive way. Then only such type of criticism cannot be considered under contempt of court. Okay, right. Now we will discuss the power of judicial review. What is the meaning of judicial review? So judicial review means it is the power of the Supreme Court to examine the constitutionality of a legislative enactments and executive orders of both the central and the state governments. Meaning, as we discussed in our earlier lectures, government comprises three organs: executive, legislature and judiciary. The objective of the executive is to frame the policies and implement some executive orders, etc. And the objective of the legislature is to make laws. And the duty of the judiciary is to examine the orders of the executive and the laws or enactments made by the parliament, whether they are within the limit of the constitution or not. So that process is called as judicial review. Okay, if on examination, if the court found that the orders of the executive or the laws enacted by the parliament are violative of the constitution or against the constitution, which is also called as ultra vires. Ultra vires means the laws or orders or actions of the government which are against the constitution are called as ultra vires. So if on examination, if the judiciary concluded that the orders or acts enacted by the parliament are against the constitution, they can be declared as illegal, unconstitutional and invalid by the Supreme Court. So judicial review. So this judicial review is the powerful mechanism or the powerful tool that is given to the judiciary to ensure checks and balances in India's political landscape. Okay, it ensures the reinforcement of separation of powers. It ensures the balance between the three organs of the government. That means among these three, no organ is superior than the other. Okay, right. And next, other powers of the Supreme Court. What are the other powers of the Supreme Court? Okay, we'll discuss the other powers of the Supreme Court in the next video. Thank you very much.